Hey, it's me Shane from Gemini Garage, and today we're going to do some home improvement, and I got a clothes dryer in here that hasn't been drying very well for quite a while now, so we're going to see if we can take care of that. So stick with me and let's get into it. Okay, so we got this clothes dryer in here. Again, I could probably skip through a lot of this, and I may speed some of it up and maybe cut a little bit of it out, but I kind of like to leave a lot of the stupid stuff in there, because the stupid stuff is in fact the stupid stuff. It's the stuff that gets in the way, it's the stuff that causes you problems, it's the stuff that slows you down, it's the stuff that turns something that, should be a relatively simple job into, something that maybe take a 2-hour job and turn it into a weekend project. So it happens. But again, I like to have people try to be patient and not get discouraged. It happens to me all the time. I really need to take my own advice better sometimes. But with that, let's get with it. First thing we got to do is get it out of there. So I'm going to move the rug here. I might need that later to set it on to move it around a little bit, but for now. So what's entailed in most people's laundry rooms is, you've got your washer, your dryer, and a bunch of crap sitting on top of the washing machine, or the dryer here. So let's remove some of this stuff from the top of the dryer here. Okay. Alright, now let's just start wiggling this thing out. This thing has not been out in quite a while, and so I'm probably going to end up cleaning the vent tube and some other stuff, while I'm doing all this. So it's also the water heater exploded several months back and pretty much flooded this room. So I hadn't pulled all these out since then because most of the water puddled in the center, and I just kind of squeegeed it out. So it didn't really run way back up to the wall there, but I expect it to probably be kind of dirty under there, and yeah. Word of advice, anytime you're moving any kind of appliance like this, washer, dryer, refrigerator, whatever, this stuff can be really hard on your floors. The feet and stuff can be missing the rubber cap on it, or you can have some other kind of problem. Washers, dryers, refrigerators, all that kind of stuff are famous for snagging linoleum or scratching tile. So if you got a really nice floor, and you're not the ones that put it in and out of there, and maybe don't know how well or not well the appliance is going to move in and out, pay attention. You might need to rock it back a little bit and put something underneath the edge there. This is an old floor, and the bottoms of these aren't too bad, so I'm not too worried about it. I've had them in and out of there a few times since I've been here. So, but just a quick note to keep an eye on the legs of your appliances and what's going on with your floor. And then a lot of times too, they'll have like a linoleum or some flooring. Sometimes will run right up to the edge, of where an appliance, is, because maybe somebody put some new flooring over there, and then you'll have a lip. And so you might have to lift the appliance up a little bit like that, kind of scoot it forward. That's a big one with dishwashers in kitchens. You'll have a dishwasher that was put in there, and then someone will put a wood floor or something in there, and they don't take into account that they're going to have to pull that dishwasher out someday, and that can get interesting. So, all right, back to getting this out of here. Okay. Hey, now there's where I did wind up with it was like 5 gloves that were all left-handers or whatever, and I was like, I found all the right-handers, so good to go there. That was bothering me, what happened to all those, let me tell you. All right. I think we're just going to pull this thing out a little more so I can get this pipe off of these things here. They've got some stuff now that's really cool where instead of having that flexible tubing, it's just kind of like a little hood that comes out and you can just kind of scoot it straight back in there. You can actually get kind of creative with the venting and the ducting on your dryer, and I would actually kind of recommend if you have problems with it clogging or not a lot of good airflow, you do so, because it makes a world of difference in how well stuff dries. And you also need to be careful, as I'll probably show later, is there's a thing that happens called a dryer fire, which is almost kind of like a flue fire if you've got a fireplace or a wood stove, in the sense that you get all this lint and all this crap built up in this exhaust, right? And then you've got a dryer here with a heating element in it, and that heating element, if you look in there, it gets red hot, just like a heating element in your oven. Also, what can happen is heating elements in appliances, when they go out or get brittle, a little piece of the coil that's red hot can break off and be blown, down into the path of where all that stuff is. So there's a lot of little things that could cause a fire. But anyways, make sure you keep your dryer vents clean, and if it's got a really wonky connection, either make sure you clean it frequently or maybe redo it, because it's usually not too hard to redo, but it's definitely a good idea to make sure they're clean. So we got the hose disconnected. The only other thing we got to do is unplug it. We got the plug over here. You should wear gloves when you unplug these, and be very careful unplugging them, because they are large plugs and you don't want to be choking down on a grip and then have that thing come out and squeeze down on those two while you're pulling it out. You really want to be careful how you're pulling that plug out of there. Okay, let's see if I can hold this door open enough by myself to get this thing out of here. Again, this thing's sliding pretty freely on here, and this linoleum's pretty old, so this is like 30-year-old trailer linoleum, man. You can't. This stuff is like granite almost. And you're sitting there going, people that have ever lived in like a trailer or a mobile or something that's old, that had like original, really good, linoleum put down throughout the whole thing, and then they like built the rest of the trailer, and they know what I'm talking about. All right. Again, you can try to fix this in here, but it's just, especially for filming purposes, but it's just a lot easier to bring it outside if you've got an area to work on it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is just tilt this sucker like this. I got to undo the cord just got wrapped around the doorknob there, so that would have been not fun. And I'm just going to drag it out. Just the way you gotta do it sometimes. Oh, what do I got falling out of here already? Must have been something in the dryer. What do I got here? I got a big plastic button and a guitar pick, so I'm already winning here. Okay. So, let me go in here and, okay. All right, this is my hodgepodge of gloves. What happened was when coronavirus came around and we all had to start wearing gloves, that's really a good habit anyways, is to wear gloves. Take them with you. It's a good idea, because you never know, somebody might need help, or you might have a situation where you need some gloves real quick, because it's a rough friggin' world out there, and we got bare hands, right? So, anyways, so I came up with a stack of masks and gloves, and I just kept them on the, washer and dryer. And so it just got to the point where I, just chucked my gloves in there when they were old or when they weren't clean, and I guess quite a few of them went over the back side there. So, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition everything here, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this thing hasn't worked in a while. It is a Kenmore Series 70. It's old. It's probably at least like 20-25 years old. So, but I have been into it before. It did need a new heating element at one point, I believe, quite a long time ago. I replaced that. This time around, it stopped heating, but then it wouldn't shut off either. The timer, it would just keep running. So I'm not sure if that's related to it needs the heating element working for it to shut off, or if something went wrong with the timer as well. And then I also got, because the thing's old and I got a new belt for it. So I went and I got a new timer. I think it's actually a used pulled one, tested good. But so I got a timer for it. I got it's still in the box here, sealed up. I got a, here we go. Heating element here. And now this is what I'm talking about, these coils on here, right? These things can heat up, get brittle when they get old, and then they can glow red hot, which they are, and then a piece of it can blow off and make it down into your dryer vent with a bunch of lint in there and cause a dryer fire, and that's how that happens. So yeah, most new heaters now, for efficiency and safety, depending on what they're using them in, they aren't coils like this anymore. They're ceramic, and that's the thing with ceramic, is it usually doesn't chunk off like these do. And then again, you've got to remember all heaters that if it's a heater, it's going to have a blower motor on it. So again, that's whatever you've got as a heating substance is going to get blown somewhere if it can flake off like that does. So anyway, so new one of these here. New belt tensioner, and a new timer. So what I'm going to do right now, as you can see, the back of this thing is just nasty. And it doesn't look any better in there in the utility room where it was sitting either. So I'm going to grab the shop vac real quick and do a real quick cleaning on all of this, and then start taking this thing apart. Alright, that's about all you're going to get off there, unless you wipe it off, and I'll do that later. Okay. Move the cooler out of the way a little bit. And yeah, I might, if I got enough steam left by the time I'm doing all of this stuff here, go into some kind of a video about 3-prong and 4-prong cords on dryers, and which is what and why they are and whatever. Because that's something that can be very confusing in the world of home improvement and dryers. Mostly depends on how your house is wired. Most of what I'll say about that one. Just got a cordless drill here. I got one of these bit holders in here that happens to be the right size, which I believe is a 1/4 inch for these things here. I just hunted, I must have 5 or 6 of these laying around, and this was the only one I could find, and it's not even in the best of shape. So I have a lot of things going on around here right now, so I guess I can shut this door here. Alright. Set the screws up here. Let's see, we got, it looks like 3 3 on each side, and then like these ones right here, I guess. I'm doing this on a deck that's got slots, slats, holes. You know, I probably shouldn't be doing that because I'm probably going to lose one of these screws down in there, but it is what it is sometimes, you know what I mean? Just taking this cover off here. I don't need to, but it's that screw that holds that cover on is part of the holds the back on here too. So you're like, yes, we know, we can see that. Just get with taking it off. Trying to figure out what I was smelling. I forgot this drill motor. I kind of cooked it a little bit, and some when I use it every once in a while, I kind of get that nice little electrical aroma. It got treated like it was literally on Home Improvement. That was a great show, by the way. I think that was actually kind of the last family comedy show there was Home Improvement. Okay. Yep, got one more in the middle there. And that one's actually slotted, so you could have just loosened that one and slide it down. Alright, let's see what kind of disaster we got here. Okay. Oh, a little more lint, obviously. And our dryer element is I believe it's in here. Yeah, because there's where it's hooked up. I have to look back and forth. That's where your dryer thingy goes. So, let's see here. Let's get the old part out of here. See what we got here. So, alright. So, it looks like this is going to go down here. And that right there is the high, what should be, I guess you'd call a high limit switch, which is basically if the temperature gets way too high or something, it triggers the thing to shut off the dryer element. I didn't check that because this dryer element's been in here. It's so old, I just could have told you it was time for a new one. So, alright, let's look at this thing here and see how we're getting it off of here. Let's see here. Pretty much the same drill, looks like. Okay, so let me make sure I got that in the frame there. Maybe not for your reference, maybe for mine. Okay, big red wire on top of the high limit here, and then red in the front and an orange in the back there. So let's take that off there. Okay. And fortunately, the wires sometimes, as you pull them off, they're kind of naturally laying that way. Anyways, the red one, you know, towards the top, and the orange one towards the inside there, and this red one towards the outside. So it's a lot easier to remember it that way. Okay, so we got a couple more of those 1/4" sheet metal screws to get out of here. Let's see, I'm not sure what we got going on up here, if any of this matters here. I guess we'll find out. Like I said, it's not like I've never been into this, but it's been a long time. I'm pretty sure I was into this one. Maybe it was another one, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. I'm going to take and put these screws up here too. They're the same size, so it doesn't matter if they get mixed in with the other ones. You can set them down here, but I didn't want to do that because I'm probably going to vacuum that out of there. So, okay, there we go. Oh, okay, so she just come right out of there. She just slid down, and there we go. So there's the old one here, and I'm not sure. Oh yeah. Oh well, I'm not sure. I guess there's probably a way you can test to see if this is still good using just probably an ohm meter. I don't see any breaks in it, but it. Yeah, oh wait, yeah, there is a break right here. There's one right here, and there could be some on the back side too. So, all right. So what I need to do is. I need to do something with these little tabs right here. There's a little cotter pin. There's a little tiny cotter pin in each one of these little holes here. And then you pull this thing apart and put the new one in there. Oh, wait, no, I don't got to do that. This thing, duh. This is already in the thing, so I just got to slide it on there and go. That's just, I'm thinking I got to, see, that's how old school I am. Like, I mean, you can go buy the power steering pump rebuilt, or you can buy the rebuild kit for the power steering pump. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with this. Like, sometimes I'm used to doing things the old way where, I mean, you just got the basics to rebuild whatever the hell it was. I mean, you didn't get a whole new assembly that you could just put in there now. So, alright. Alright, well, that one looks kind of toasty, and we found a break in it, at least one in there. So, okay, now this one, it does not have the high limit bolted into there, and I believe it, I'm trying to see if I got a new one here or not. Let me see if I got a new high limit here. If I do, I'll use the new one. If I don't, then hopefully the old one's working. Just the timer in there. Oh, hey, yeah, there we go. We got all kinds of stuff in here, man. You got stuff in here I don't even know if it's all to this. There's a couple of different limit switches in here. Looks like there's 3 different limit switches in here, so I'll have to look to make sure my camera's still going here. Alright. Okay. So we've got a new heating element here, and we've got multiple limit switches here. So let's see if we can tell by looking at this one which one of these it might be. Let me try opening one of these up with a pair of those gloves on. Okay. That just looks like that's some kind of a ceramic thing there. Okay, it looks the most like this one here, it would appear. Yes. Yep, I'm going to say it's this one here. That's what I'm thinking. So, that one's in here even weird. It doesn't even, the old one, instead of having 2 screws like the actual limit thing has, the old one, this tin here is kind of cut, and I didn't, it's that way from the factory. This is split here, and the corner of it goes in there, and then the rest of it just slides over this peg here, and there isn't even another screw holding it in there, so it's a pretty, if you want to know how it goes on there, it goes on there just like this. There's a tab there that goes in that hole there, I believe. And then this kind of slides up here, and then you got this electrical post here that this one slides down on like that. So, just like that. All right, well, you can't argue with that, can you? All right, I'm going to, I guess, just leave the camera going and grab the vacuum and kind of clean this out in here a little bit again. I don't know what the hell it was. Okay, check to make sure the camera's still going here. Alright. Okay, so we got that particular high limit situation figured out. Okay. Alright, let's see. Oh, there's the other, one of the other limit switches there too. But I'm pretty sure it didn't, you know, because it wasn't heating at all, so I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't testing the limit switches. Oh, there's a limit switch there too. Okay. Okay, here's the other ones here. There was sluts. There's 4 of them in there. One of them goes to this heater right here. The other one looks like this one here. It goes up here to this one here. This one here, it looks like goes down here. And then this ceramic one here goes here. And so probably one of those is also maybe for the timer, because I said the timer wasn't shutting off, so I gotta sit here and I gotta figure out whether I want to just replace all of these or if I just want to try and figure out which ones are still working or whatever. So I'm gonna go get my ohm meter and my tester, and I'm gonna see if I can get any kind of reading off of these, and then maybe try the, because I don't like to replace some of this stuff. Okay, before I get too far along here, I went and got my meter, and I tested this ceramic looking guy here, and it pretty much had little to no resistance. And so I took the wires off this one here, and it shows me the same thing. So I'm going to take and stick these wires back on here. Okay, and I did that on the, check the ohm setting on here. Okay, so I checked that one, and that one seems okay. Let's test this one up here. See what we get. So I'm taking and I'm testing the new one, and then comparing it to the old one. And you kind of need to take the wires off, or you probably should, because it probably kind of skew your reading if you don't. Like I said, this is just on the ohm setting. Yep, that's showing just a straight, 0.1. Depending on if I'm making good contact, it's a 0, 0, 0. If I'm not making good contact, it's a 0.1 or 0.2. So, that one's pretty much just straight through. These are pretty much just fuses. Yeah, they get too hot, they just pretty much go out. Otherwise, they're just pretty much straight through. They're not regulating the amount of current. They're just allowing it to flow or not, depending on if it's... Now this one down here, I don't know. This one's got four leads on this one here. So, okay, that one was straight through. I forgot to test that one. So let's take these wires off here and test this one. Carried away. Okay. I guess this one's probably the same thing. Yep. Oh, there's some echo going on there. And of course, if there was no continuity at all, or there was just a break and there was absolutely no, no continuity between there, then you would see just the OL on there, no continuity. So, put these back on. I'm sure it'll work like a champ when I'm done with it. Putting all these connectors back on there and. Alright, we've tested that and we've tested that. So since we've already done that, let's just go ahead and put this thing in there, the new one in there, so we can just one less part we got laying here on the ground here. So, alright, everything looks good in there. We got our high limit in there and it's good to go. And we just slide it up in there until we are centered with these screws here. Alright, got that one in over there. Again, not a bad idea to be wearing gloves with this stuff because it's sheet metal and it can be kind of scratchy, but it's also hard to get those screws going too. Of course, you could just put those on the tip of this and you'd be okay because they're sheet metal screws. Just snug them. Okay. You screw up and strip holes out in sheet metal, don't freak out. Just find a pair of vice grips and a piece of metal that's flat and put it on the back side and kind of squish it, real good until it'll kind of smash the hole over a little bit. And for something like this, you don't need, it doesn't have to be on there too strong, just enough to hold it up against there. Okay, let's just go ahead and put these wires back on here. Oh, this one goes there. Duh. Let's see, what do we got going on here? Okay, that one is not wanting to stay on there very well. So what I need to do is grab a pair of pliers real quick and put the squash on that a little bit. I'll be right back. Sometimes these little terminals, these little, I guess butt connectors they call them, they sometimes get a little bit out of spec. We'll squish it to us just a little bit, see what we got. There we go. Really worried about it. You can put another squish on it while it's on there. Just don't do it while it's plugged in. Okay. And just for curiosity, I never did measure this one here to see what high limit was going on here. So let's see what we got here. I'm guessing we will show no connection on the heating element, maybe. Yeah, that brake is not showed any connection on the I don't know if you can see that, but that's what this guy shows when it's not showing any kind of connection, just an O, a dot, and an L there. And then if it's got some continuous, then you get 4 zeros on there. Alright, let's check the high limit here. Oh yeah, it shows good. It shows good. So, okay, so keep the high limit out of here. Would be, as a matter of fact, let's see, that just basically pulls out of there, right? So we should just be able to kind of got some pliers here. Should just be able to kind of nudge this thing off of here. Alright, there we go. Now you got a spare high limit. So good for you. Alright. So there was one more of these to test, and that one was right here. I think these are basically two limits kind of in one. I'm going to just take those two off there and test these across here. Let's see what we got. Oh. Meter shut off. Alright, so let's check this one here. And that one's showing good. And like I said, when I say showing good, it's connecting, it's continuous. It's continuous circuit. It is conducting just as well as if I took the test probes and went like that. 4 zeros. Alright, and then there's these two purple guys right here on the side. Let's check these. Stubborn little guys. But you kind of want to wiggle and rock them off of there. I mean, you know, unless you feel like putting a new end on there. And you might. And if you do, then just yank them off of there. But otherwise, you need to be nice to this electrical stuff. Okay, now that one is showing some resistance. 6.98 ohms. And I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. So let's take the new one that's just like that and measure it and see what it says. Excuse me. It does got some resistance there. It does have some resistance. Pardon my grammar. .45 ohms, and this one ran at 6.97. So that's like a half a ohm, I guess, difference there, or something. That's not a lot. So I'm going to guess that thing's probably okay, you know. I can't imagine something like this having a spec that if it was that far off, it wouldn't work. Not on something like that. It's possible, but not very likely. Okay. Sometimes it helps to put the pliers on these things when you put just pop them on there a little bit. Okay. Okay, well, like I said, this thing wasn't shutting off. However, that could be related to the fact that the dryer element was just, going and going and going too. All of these limit switches test okay. And get to the timer, I guess you can pull this off. But I think what I'm going to do is just maybe put this thing back in there and, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and just put this back on, this part back on here, because like I said, if I need to get to the timer, it's up here. So I've already done everything I need to do in here, except I do know this light bulb was kind of working sort of sporadically. I don't know if I've got another one of these or not. It was kind of coming on a little bit once in a while, and so I'm thinking maybe that's a Christmas bulb light bulb. Yeah, let's rough this up a little bit, and maybe it'll work when I stick it back in there. Oh, it seems like I got some of these light bulbs someplace, but where? Okay. Move this out of the way. And once again, I already did whatever I was going to do with the bulb. I may end up replacing that if that doesn't fix it there, but that's okay. I have some a little bit of remodeling and fixing to do in that utility room anyway, so it's probably not going to be the last time this thing gets moved out of there. So I'm going to suck this lint out of here real quick. You can see it's got a thin coating in there, but I don't think anything crazy, so I think we're good to go there. Alright. So we had one screw that was down here. Let me make sure my camera's still going. Alright, I had one screw down here. And this thing just kind of slid up into there. Like that. And let's see, it's lined up with all the other ones, so we'll just tighten this one up. Alright. And then we'll put the electrical cover back on here. Let's see, how would that go on there? Did that go on there? No, that went on there like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to get the rest of these screws in here. Like I said, I still got to figure out whether there's something wrong with the timer, or if the timer just wasn't going off because the dryer wasn't drying. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to have to And it's important to know, because if there was something wrong with the timer and it wasn't turning off, then it could have just kept running and running and running, and then overheated the element and caused it to. Which I don't necessarily know if that's the case, because that element's really old, like I said. I'm pretty sure I've been in here before, and if I was, that would have been when that would have been before I moved up here. That would have been like about 20 years ago. So, yeah. So it's hard to know which is which. So I'm going to just have to test it out. We'll have to plug it in, and try the timer too, and see if it shuts off. If it doesn't shut off, we'll know we got to bring her back out here and pop the back of that off and replace the timer. I mean, if I had a long enough cord, you know, I could, but I don't believe I have a. Trying to think if I have that size amp extension cord. I might, but it's going to take me a while to find it if I do. If you're wondering what I'm sitting here mumbling about, I'm mumbling about the idea of taking, and I've got some extension cords around here that are kind of big like this for the generator and stuff. I could probably plug one in there and run it out here and plug this in and try it out here and not have to drag it back in there, but I'm not sure where those cords might be. I have to take a look real quick. Again, real light on these. I kind of just barely do it till it's snug, and then just turn the screwdriver just a tiny bit, and that should be good enough. All right. So, get some of this stuff out of the way here. Okay, I'm gonna make sure the camera's still going. All right. I think maybe what I'm going to do next is maybe tackle the dryer vent situation, because if I get this in there and it works, I'm not going to want to drag it back out again. I mean, you know, I'll have to, because I need to check how clean the dryer vent is. So we're going to cut, and we're going to go to the dryer vent portion here. So whoop-de-doo, right? Stick. Okay, welcome back to my dark and dingy utility room here. Here's where the dryer goes up here, and here's the dryer hose on here. And as you can see in there, there's no major clogs or anything in there that I can see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this on the floor here. Okay, you can still see. I'm going to take this thing off of here. Ow! And then I'm going to smack my head into the cupboard up above. You got to remember, the washer and dryer are usually in here, so your head does not usually hit this cupboard because it's low. So, okay, yeah, it's, you know, it looks like a chimney down there, to be honest with you, like a chimney that's going downwards. Yeah. Not a bad idea to put screen, make sure you got a screen, because that's, I mean, you know, that's why you get rodents and everything else in there. But okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this hose out here, this silver flexible hose. Okay, I have no idea what happened to the camera. Maybe it overheated, I don't know. This camera's been giving me fits. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that garden hose there, and I'm going to bring it up here, and I'm going to stick it down in here, and I'm going to hose that thing out real good. And so I think I'm going to take the camera and put it right about here. And you'll probably be able to see where it's coming out. Yeah, you'll be able to see the water coming out right there. It's coming out of. It should be coming out right there. Should be. Will be. Better be. Okay. And I've got one glove laying here. I have no idea where the other one went, which is par for the course with me. So I'm probably not going to have any gloves on. Give me some more hose here. Again, this is all part of keeping your dryer deal clean. I got a pretty short run there, so, but still, you need to keep it clean. This is the best way to do it. Camera's not soaked. That should have been a pretty good show coming out of there. And I'm just gonna hit it on the outside a little to get some of that lint off the vent there. And there's still some crap on there. Okay, I'm going to go stick it down in there again just to help clear that vent out a little bit. Come out here and watch it this time. I just stuffed that hose down in there and it's not coming out of there, so that means that somewhere under there a dryer vent came disconnected, because that water should all have been running out of there. Okay. So, either that or I was just blowing way too much water out of there, but I don't think so. Alright. Once again, home improvement. Gotta love it. Run into problems. Oh. Alright. We're going to go back up topside here. We're going to go ahead and hook the dryer back up, because regardless of what's going on with the vent or whatever, we still got to figure out if the timer's working right or what's going on there. So we'll go ahead and put that in there and then see what we got. Hold on, I'm sure I should probably film the struggle of getting it back in there too. Why not, right? You ask, and so I shall show. I'm going to pause it and get this dryer vent. Alright, so I'm not exactly in the greatest of moods right now, but forget me and my mood, right? We need to get this thing back in there. Let's see what's going on with it. Again, we got a couple of issues here, but we're going to try and get settled up with our first project and our initial project, which was the dryer. And then after that, we will deal with this other vent situation. So, and we got one extra screw here, so we missed one somewhere. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We got one there. Oh, this one right here. Alright. Okay, so we're going to spin this thing around. drag it back in there again. Drag that in. Stop ripping the whole thing apart. Should try not to. This is what happens when you make poor choices in life. That's what that looks like. Oh. What is the freaking problem here? Oh, you're like the camera's looking at it, man. Did that coming out too. Well, you know you're doing it right. That way. Okay. My dryer vent here is foobar right now. So we're just going to move that aside. Move this back here enough to plug it in. Then go from there. Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right, we got her plugged in. Make sure the camera's still going here. I don't know that it needs to be all the way over here. Probably not. I guess we can invite everybody in forward a little bit more here. Okay. Pardon the camera shake, like I really care right now. Alright. Okay. Alright. Timed dry, air dry, auto dry, touch up. It's been so long since I've, it just would run, it would air dry, and it wouldn't shut off, so I just throw stuff in there and let it air dry. And in the wintertime with the wood stove going, it was actually warm enough in here, it actually kind of dried sort of normally. So, whatever. Alright, let's see here. Fabric temperature. Okay, so let's just try time dry. And we'll put it on 20. Pull a little bit of stuff out, but not too much. Whew! Yeah, you can. That heating element's working now. You can smell it. I bet if I put my hand down there, it's. Yeah. So the heating element's working just fine. The question is the timer. So. Now, before, I don't even think it would do that. I don't even think you could turn it and click it to off. I think it just ran straight. So let's, I'm just going to put it right down here on the last couple of minutes there of the cycle. And, no. Push, pull, twist. It's just like, you know, it's like a friggin' teenager on his first date, right? Sorry. All right. I'm going to pause this and get myself together here. Not really, but I'm going to pause this and rearrange everything so we're ready to deal with the next situation here. Stick with me. Okay, so I unplugged it and turned it that way instead of dragging it out. I think I can get to where I need to get to without having to do all that. It doesn't seem to be shutting off. So it's heating, but the timer doesn't seem to be shutting it off, so. We're gonna have to see what's going on. Oh, quite a project. Once again, if you think you're going to just whip something out in a few minutes or in a couple hours, maybe you will. But and there was one screw up here that was already missing. Okay, well, we almost got as much lint in here as we did in the... Alright, our timer. Okay, this wire here seems to be... This orange wire here with this looks like a high limit on here. Or not a high limit, but a ceramic, what do you call that? A fusible link, I believe. That's probably what that is. That feels a little bit warmer than the other wires. So I don't know. Guess really my only alternative is just to make sure that timer is the same as the newer one or the other one that I got here. Swap them out and then go from there. That's my only option. And then if there's something still going on with that, then I'll know that, you know, maybe the timer going out probably puts an extra load on this. I don't know. But yeah. And then this should be, I mean, you should be able to find something that you could put in line with that. You could probably put nothing in line with that. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. Okay, let's see, do we got the same part here? No. Well, let's see. No, that is not exactly the same one. I don't. What the hell? Yeah, that's nice. Not to have the exact replacement timer there. Yeah. Huh. So I'm not sure what you do in a situation like this when you're making a video and everything's just absolutely going to you know what, and you don't even know what you're going to do for parts. So, yeah, it was pretty much just going to be a video on replacing the heating element, and I did that, and it works fine. So there you go, we're done. Yeah. All right, let me pause this, suck a little of this lint and stuff out of here, and figure out what I'm going to do. See if I can find the appropriate timer, or what may be the cause of it not shutting off. So probably just the timer, but. Alright, so an update here, what we're going to do here, what the plan is anyways. So I got the wrong timer, of course, as we know, and so I'm going to try and order the right timer. There's also this little resistor block here that's soldered in. Well, I think it's soldered in here. Oh, there. It's right here. You can see it's an orange wire that has like it's a 10 watt 5 kilo ohm resistor in here, and you can see on this end here it's a little burned, and this plastic's kind of melted, and this is burned, and this wire was a little warm, so I don't think that's necessarily causing the timer malfunction. I think it probably just ran too long, and that's probably why it did that. But you can get these new little resistors, just the resistor, and then put it back in line. So I'm going to get some of these resistors, get another one anyways, and then get another timer, and I'm willing to bet that's probably going to fix the dryer situation. This other little situation over here, where I got the, you know, for the vent line there, well, that runs down into the floor about 2 feet, and then it takes a left, and it runs under the floor, and then it comes out over here, under the steps here, under the porch there. For some reason, I think there's like a one-way valve or something somewhere in there, and that thing is really clogged. I thought maybe it got just disconnected, but the thing is just holding water in there, and I'm like, well, why would it be holding water if it got disconnected? So I think there's a one-way valve in there, and that thing has just got a whole bunch of garbage and stuff in it. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to get creative with that, but probably won't be using the dryer for a few days, or at least until I can get the new parts for that. So once I get that situation with the timer and that ceramic thing on that wire fixed, and then once I get this drain thing here, the vent taken care of, then should be good to go. So but once again, you know, this is what happens. You try to do a simple project and it turns into a bunch of other stuff. So it's big time like that with cars, and big time like that with home improvement, especially when you live in an older place like I do. So with that, I'm going to pause it and shall return when we have more positive fixes for our little situation here. So stick with me, and I shall return. Okay, and back to Gemini Garage. It's been a few days. So just kind of a recap on where we are here on this thing. We replaced the heating element. We vacuumed it out real good. We checked all the fuse / limit switches on it. Now, when I got it running again, I didn't think the timer was working, but it turns out it is working. These timers are like a watched pot with water in it. You sit there and look at it, and I mean, it's just like it doesn't move. But you walk away for a while, and then it shut off. So I think we're good to go on the timer, which is good because the one that I got was not the exact replacement for it anyways. So I would have had to get another timer. You can still get these new, or they say they're new anyways, but they're about $100. They ain't cheap, so glad I didn't have to replace that. Excuse me. However, let me check something here. Okay, however, it did have this little ceramic fusible link thingy here, and it got a little hot. It looks like on the back side here, and kind of melted this plastic here. You can see this thing's just soldered in line. But these ends got a little bit toasty, which that's probably normal because, like I said, this thing's 20 years old, and I'm sure once the heating element went out of it a time or two, and it ran a long time. So I'm going to cut this off of here, and I got a new one of these. Believe it or not, it looks just like that. Came in a 5-pack even. These are 5 kilo ohm 10 watt ceramic resistor. So I'm just going to take that and put it in there, put some new shrink wrap over that, and pretty much call it a day with this thing. So I'm going to grab a pair of little wire cutters real quick so I can cut this out of there and get that old plastic off of there, and we'll go from there. Alright, and I plug my soldering iron in over here. By the way, I'm using one of these pine sill or whatever, or 64 or whatever it is. These things are really, really cool. It's one of those things that when you get one, you don't know what you did without it. It's just so small and maneuverable, and it heats up really quick and cools off quick, so it's a lot safer than a regular, soldering iron because of that. I mean, half the time in my life, I can honestly say probably half the time I burnt myself with the damn soldering iron has been I'm done using it, and it's just, it's sitting there cooling off, and so yeah, these are quite wonderful. All right. USB-C. You just need a USB-C charger. You can't use like some tiny little USB-C you need to use one that's like basically a laptop charger. You need to use something I think that's at least 40 or 50 watts. You need to use something that's a good laptop charger. But okay. Thing I love about these things, you just plug this thing in, you just hit this plus button there. It starts heating up, and it's, you know, up to 400 and whatever degrees in a matter of like 30 seconds. You can see it on there. Yeah, ready to go, man. So let's see here. I'm just going to go ahead and that's pretty hard. I think they might even have a clip or something on there, so that I'm going to just let this thing heat for a second, even though it's already heated up. I'm just going to clip that out of there real quick. That's what I was originally going to do anyways, because it's got this tubing on here. Alright, off on that side there. Alright, and I've got another piece of, it's not clear, it's black, but it'll work. Remove this piece of tape here. Again, it's always some stupid little thing to slow you down. Alright, I'm going to clip this thing out of here. Hopefully all this is in frame somewhat. Okay, we got the new one over here. Now let me strip a little bit off these ends here. These kind of wire strippers are invaluable to have too, and I'm not suggesting you should not learn how to do it the old way, because you should, because these don't always work, or you don't always have a pair laying around, or maybe you got wire that's, you know, too big. But these they save a lot of wear and tear on your hands if you've got a lot of wires to strip. Definitely one pair of strippers that you want to have around. These actually pay for themselves. Okay. I'm just going to kind of twist that on there. And there isn't really a left or right, or it doesn't matter what end you put it on. So, okay, where's my, there it is. The tubing. I want to get this thing over the wire. Give my wire a little more length here by putting this over here. And we're going to kind of just do a little twisty job here. It's a sharp little sucker. Okay, just kind of trying to fold it over like it was originally there. Okay. This thing also will kind of shut off when you set it down for a few seconds, and then when you pick it up it'll start heating again. So it's a cool little deal there. Oh, I really should have grabbed my glasses for this, but we can hope. And just unplug it and set her down. Like I said, it's so small you just don't bump it and knock it over, and it's just a really nice little iron there. got interchangeable tips. Alright, I think we're good to go there with this little setup here. So just fold that over. I'm not going to shrink this down on there. If it gets warm, I'll know if I open it up and this thing is shrunk on there all nice and tight that it got a little bit warm, you know. Just have that in there just so it doesn't rub on anything. I'm going to go get a little piece of tape or a zip tie or something to put on here. Be right back. Okay, I'm just going to put a zip tie around here. Again, soldering is a little bit like welding in the sense that you really need to kind of be comfortable in a, you know, position where you can, you know, manipulate things properly. Okay, and then since this one was still kind of working and it's got what was on there written on there, the other one isn't really marked. I'm just going to set this old one in here. There's some old instructions in there too. I'm just going to tape this in here. But these instructions are already kind of in here. That way if that one burns out or anybody ever needs to know what it was, and there's the old one in there. Okay. Alright, now, what I'm going to do real quick is we've done all that. I also did get a belt and a tensioner for this, and I was going to install that, but you know what, I decided not to because the belt that's on there has been on there forever, and who knows how much longer it has. I would rather just save the new one, and when this old one goes, have the new one for a spare, than, because if I put the new one on, then I'm going to probably keep the old one, and I just, you know. So I'm just going to wait to do that. But I'm going to go over real quick what you would need to do to replace that, just, you know, so that the video here's a little bit more complete. So stick with me while I... Alright, so as I said before, I'm going to go ahead and leave the old belt and tensioner on this one, but I did get a replacement one. But since I said I was going to replace it, or at least since I've got it this far down, I'd like to make the video a little bit more complete by we can show you know, how to get to the timer, how to replace that little thing, how to check the high limits, how to replace the heating element, and show how to replace the belt and the tensioner at least. So you take these little things off here, obviously. Make sure my stuff's in frame here. Okay. Alright. One of these on each side, and when you take this screw out, this thing just kind of, you lift it up and pull it out. It just kind of locks in there like that. And then you remove the dryer vent thingy, the lint trap. Remove the lint trap here. And right under where the lint trap slides in, there's two little Phillips screws. I'll just take the camera off real quick just to be thorough, even though it's going to be shaky. So you want to take out this lint trap, and then there's a screw here and a screw here, and then the whole thing basically just kind of pops off. Now you do have these wires that are, you know, running down through the back here, but they're on a harness, so they all, this, it stays put pretty well. So you'll see once I get it kind of up off of here. So one screw there. Another screw there. Okay, now let's see here. If I remember, just kind of lift up and sort of slide it forward, and there's kind of some little tabs on there, but it comes off pretty easy. and this whole thing just kind of tilts up like that, sets it like that. Now you would not want to do this while it's windy out. So let me get this thing off of here, and we'll take a little trip over here and show you down inside of here. So this is what we got down inside of there. This is the belt here, the old belt. So we're going to put this top part back on here, and then I'm going to put it on its back real quick and just take a look at the bottom and see what we got going on under there. So again, reversal process. Down here, and there. Pretty much once it's lined up with these two screw holes for the vent thing, then you know you're there. Okay. All right, one more to go. Again, I just kind of wanted to be thorough. I don't want to. It kind of sucks sometimes when you watch a video or something, and you know it's showing you how to do something, and you kind of wish it would have went one step further, or they would have done one other thing, you know, so you could see. Okay, that's on there. That one in there. That one in there. Okay, and since I'm putting her back together, I'm going to go ahead and grab this back panel here. If I can squeeze behind here. Okay. Alright, let's see if we can remember how this goes on there. Not like that. Very much like that. Okay. Just put it on there like that and we're good to go there. Yeah. Okay, of course all my screws are over here. I believe there was one screw in the back that was missing, so if you see me shy a screw, there was already one that wasn't here. Okay, that one's being a little bit stubborn there. Alright, that one wants to be stubborn, so we're just going to go for... Well, that one broke off. Okay. Plastic piece up here is not happy with the program. There we go. Just had to pop into place. This stuff's so old, it's got a certain way it likes to go together, that's for sure. Okay. Quit tightening with the old screwdriver here. Not much on these, boy. All right. Done with all that. I'm going to, I got to pull the camera back here and pull the camera back here and turn it on its end and see what we got on it. Alright, well this is what it looks like on the underside here. So the motor and all that stuff is bolted to the bottom there, obviously. So if you, while I'm down here, I got a leg. Well, if you could call these things legs. They're just basically plastic things that are threaded into this metal, and you can adjust them up and down for the height. This one down here is a little bit bent. If you can tell by looking at that one's kind of straight, and that one's kind of not. So I'm going to go see if I can get some pliers and kind of bend that back a little bit so it'll sit a little bit flusher, and I'll be back. Alright, I did manage to get this little leg straightened out. I just kind of put these on here like this, and just kind of, well, I opened the jaws a little bit. I just kind of put them on there like this and just kind of kept reefing down on it. It's just basically a stamped hole in the bottom of there, and so I didn't want to reef on it too much because it's going to end up busting out of there, and then I'm going to have to find a new one of these things. So it's the dryer and not the washer, so it's not like it's going to make it overly off of balance or anything. So, but it's straightened out good enough, better than how it was, so should be good to go. So we're going to stand this thing back up. We're going to stick that shop back down in that dryer vent and suck a little of that stuff out of there, and then we're going to be wrapping it up for the dryer project here. So again, stick with me, I shall return. Okay, so recap here. I believe, well, that goes down a couple of feet and then takes a left and then goes under the floor and then comes out over here under the porch here. I believe it's probably not completely 90 degrees, meaning I'm sure there's probably some flex tubing or something in the middle, maybe connecting the underneath part to this little vent that comes out down here. So I think what happened was when I hosed it, that flexible section probably dipped down, you know, kind of sank a little and got a little water in there, because it was still flowing air just fine. So I just stuck the shop vac down in there and got kind of a wad of wet lint out of there, and it seems to be fine. So I think we're good there. Like I said, it's flowing good, and sucked the water out of there with the shop vac, so I think we're good to go. So I'm going to put this thing back in there and do a recap and call it good. So I will be back. Okay, probably the most important part of the video, and the part that everybody really wants to see, I know, is they really just want to see me suck all this lint off of this lint trap here with a shop vac. So we'll just see how fast we can make that happen here. And it's not a bad idea actually to take and put some cleaner on these and actually hose them off once in a while, just to get them extra clean, which I think I'm going to do that. Alright, we're back here, and again I wanted to get a little more in detail and show a little bit more about how to access the belt on this thing. So again, when I had it out there, I started taking the back off, and yeah, I mean, if you want to take the whole top off that way you can, but you don't need to do that. All you need to do is just pull out your lint trap, and hopefully it's cleaner than mine is, and take out these two screws right here. You should you know, if you've got it backed in like this and you don't really want to pull it out to unplug it, just turn the breaker off. And that way you don't have to worry about it. It's always best to do both, but when you can only do one, then undo the breaker. undo the breaker. Yeah, don't undo the breaker. Shut it off. Don't undo it. Alright, I'm going to set these screws and this screwdriver over here. Now I know there's a couple of nuts in here that we got to get to. And we're going to see what we need to prop this thing up, if anything, here. Just kind of got to get it. There's clips on there. You can use a putty knife or a screw. You know, you want to try not to pry it up. You know, put a bunch of marks on it, but you know. All right. So honestly, if you had the room, you could pull it out just a tiny little bit and lean this up pretty good. But let me. Let's see here. Excuse me, let me find something to prop this lid open with here. We'll use this dusting wand here. So what I'm going to do real quick is we're going to separate the saucer from the rest of the ship section here. We're going to get the camera off the tripod here. We're going to go in here and look around a little bit. And what we want to do is pull the front off. So this whole front panel will come off. And you want to undo that little nut there, that screw there. And then there's another one over here in that corner there. And then you should just pull up on the front and it should come off of there. So I'm going to put this thing back in the tripod for just a second here. Maybe someday I'll be as smooth as a drone, right? Let's see. Those look like 5/16 right there. So let me pause this thing and go grab my 5/16. All right, we got our 5/16 here. So again, I have not taken this off beforehand, so we'll just see how it goes. Here. Now there is this switch right here that I guess you'd want to unplug, so let's just go ahead and do that. Oh, huh. That's weird. It's not like a Jeep or something where it's got some weird red thing you've got to manipulate to get the clip off. And if you're wondering what I'm ranting about, nothing. Okay, yeah, you can see the drum's already wanting to fall forward. So we got to deal with that. There's our screw. Okay, this thing is going to have to be, we're going to have to set it on here. On this surface here. So I'm going to guess this is hopefully in frame. You know, the second I walk away, that whole effing thing is going to fall off of there, right? Okay. Alright. I'm getting a thing here that's flashing 0 minutes. It's telling me my card's about toast, so let me pause this real quick and I'll see if I can get the front off anyways on this one clip. I'm going to hold this drum up here just a little bit, pull up, and there we go. So we're just going to really lightly, this drum's probably going to want to fall off of there. So we're just going to be real delicate with it there. Again, here's your springs to your door, and this whole door, the whole thing just comes off of here. So I'm just going to set this around like this. And then I'm going to grab this camera off of here, and I'm going to put another. Okay, so my card ran out and the camera shut off, and alright. So this is why I have so much respect for people that do this filming and stuff on their own, and then because it's just a whole other job to try and keep that damn thing running. Okay, so hopefully we got all that on film. We basically just 2 screws right here, and then you lift up on this front, and then it comes off there. There's a lot of lint and crap in there, so I'm probably going to end up getting my vacuum cleaner and cleaning that out even further. So good idea to take that off, I guess. Let's go down here. Oh yeah, there's lots of nasty crap in there, so that'll give the vacuum cleaner something to eat. So we're gonna go ahead, but as we're looking in here, and you can see right there where that tensioner wheel and the motor is back there, and then the belt going across there. So if you I'm also going to put the link to a video of a guy that's got a really excellent belt replacement video, so I'm going to try and get that going here. Let's see. Anyways, there's another good look. There's the motor. That hex thing on the end of it's basically the nut that holds, it gets the little spline pulley on there, and then you got the rubber belt. Belt's not very big, but you can see it kind of on there now. So I'm going to vacuum this out of here. Yeah, I'm going to vacuum it real quick, and then we'll come back. If I can figure out how to shut the camera off. I show everything else I do pretty much, so okay. That's all part of it, man, is cleaning stuff up. Alright, I'm going to pull up this vacuum here. Oh hell. This lint trap needs to be cleaned. Well, I got the vacuum out, I may as well, right? Okay, did find a washer in there. I found a washer in the dryer, so there you go, right? Okay, take the camera off again. Should look a little bit better down in there now. Okay, you can actually see what's in there now. Okay, yeah, it looks a little bit better in there, so. Once again, I'm going to leave this old belt on here because it's still going, and it's just, it probably really wouldn't be that good for a spare belt, you know what I mean, because it's already stretched and it's old. So but that's what you do to get to it, and then you basically just, that tensioner right there, you basically just, it's on, basically that thing is spring loaded. You just pull that tensioner back that way until the tension's off the belt, and take the belt off of there, and then undo the belt from around the drum. It's just like it looks. It's really nothing too complicated. It's not like routing a belt system on it's not like a serpentine belt on a car or anything. It's pretty straightforward there. It just goes around the belt there, comes back down under here, and I guess if yours is broken you wouldn't know that, but that's basically how it goes. It just goes around the drum. I'm sorry about the lighting here. It just basically goes around the drum. I'm trying to do it in 2 lights. Goes around the drum there with that tensioner. And then you just pull that tensioner towards the right there as you're looking at it. And that takes the tension off of the belt there. And if it's broken, well, then you route the belt around the drum. That tensioner is not bolted in there. It just kind of sits in there in those slots. So basically you just, if your belt was broke, that tensioner is probably not even going to be sitting upright if that belt breaks. It's probably just going to fall out of that slot. So that's how it's in that slot right there. You'll get a new one probably with the belt, with a new belt. But you just kind of stick that one end of that tensioner in there and put the belt around there, and then pull that tensioner all the way and then route the belt in there like it is. That extra set of slots right there, that's just for if the motor was in a different position for, you know, a different model or different whatever. This one, you just put that one back. You'd put, if that was if the tensioner was not in there, like if you opened this up and your belt was broken and the tensioner wasn't in there, you'd put it on the one closest to the motor. You'd put the tensioner in the holes closest to the motor there. If that's making any sense at all. So, all right. Again, I'm going to post try and remember to. I'm just going to put a blurb up here with the gentleman's channel name, and you can type it in. He has an excellent belt series, Kenmore Series 70 belt replacement video. Again, I'm going to leave this one in there because it's still going, and since I've got a spare and I know how to get to it now. But I did want to show, you know, how to get in there, because I did get a belt and was thinking about doing it and kind of maybe advertised, you know, that I was going to replace the belt. So since I've done so much else to this dryer, I wanted it to try and be as complete as possible. That way we've replaced the resistor on the back, you know, replaced the element, checked all those limit switch slash fuses on fuses on the back, and then we've inspected the belt now, so you know, we're good to go. So but I really did want to just show that. So now putting this back on here, this thing is kind of heavy. As a matter of fact, it's, given the fact it's just the front part of the dryer, it feels like it weighs about a third of it. So what we're going to do is we just push this up there. There's a couple of hooks, and this thing just kind of slips on there, it looks like. So I'll just kind of, okay, you're going to want to hold the drum back. This is kind of tricky. I mean, you gotta make sure that these hooks are engaged. Because you sure as hell don't want one of these things coming off of there. Okay. Alright, there's a couple little hooks that are on there, and they're kind of hard to see how to do it, but you just kind of got to hold it up a little bit, and you kind of got to hold this drum on here at the same time, and it's doable. It's like everything else, it's a little bit fidgety getting it back on here. We put our two screws back in here. They seem to be going back in right where they came out without too much issue, so that's always good. As far as knowing you got stuff lined back up, right? Alright, put a final tighten on these. Alright. And put our little clip plug-in back together here. that's it, pretty much. We've got to check and make sure that feels like that's in there. So we're going to move this. We're going to set our lid down here. All right. And then there's those 2 screws that we're going to put back in here. And remember, this may be a couple of like 5/16 or 1/4 inch screws. It may be a couple of Phillips head screws, and then I think some of them there may be no screws at all. So, just pull your lint trap out and see. Alright, so if you want to get to the belt or inspect the belt or just get all the nasty stuff out of your dryer furthermore than taking the back off, that's what we do. Remove the 2 screws or 2 bolts here if you've got them. Lift up the lid, take off the one little 5/16 screw here and the other little 5/16 screw here. Pull up, pull away, kind of support the drum, and you can get at your stuff from underneath there. So hopefully that clears up that mystery a little bit. Hopefully that adds a little bit more depth to the video here, and hopefully when I turn this breaker back on and hit the button, it'll start working. Right on. Okay, on with the rest of the video. All right, almost done. Got to put it back in place. Just a quick note though, I wanted to show you something. In here in the utility room with it pretty much dark, you look down there, and that's your heating element with those little coils glowing red hot. So that's why it's important to try to keep, and your vent hose can pop off of there too. Your vent hose can come off of the dryer, and then you can get a whole bunch of lint behind your dryer, and then it can catch a fire. And especially if you're a guy that's got lots of oily and greasy clothes and stuff, think of what all is going to be in that lint that gets built up in your line or behind your dryer, and then you got that red hot coil there. So just like I said, just an FYI, it is important to try and make sure your vent hose for your dryer is clear and attached, and because you get a whole bunch of that lint built up, and it can cause a real problem there. So just wanted to FYI on that. And one more quick note: when you're putting it all back together and you're sliding it back down in there, you really got to pay attention to try not getting the hose all kinked up. You can see I gotta do a little moving around. It's okay if you got a little extra hose there. That's probably more than what I need, but then again, depending on the way your venting is, if you put too short a piece on there, sometimes you can have a problem with that too. So and the fact that I keep on it, keep it clean and stuff. So I'm just going to take that double stack laying on the floor and lift one of those up and set it on the other, and then push this back a few inches, and I'll be good to go. But I just wanted to make a note of that, because that's actually how quite a few problems with the vent get started in the first place. Is you're pushing the dryer back there and it comes off on one end or the other, or gets crushed. So that is probably really probably about 75 to 80% of dryer vent problems right there. So that, and ones that go up through the wall up to a rooftop, those can be problematic too, because it's long run, and over years and years and years it just builds up inside. But anyways, all right, well, looks like we're ready to wrap it up here. Working great, so good deal. Again, we replaced the heating element in it, checked all those high limit / fuses in the back there, and made sure all those were okay. We replaced that resistor in the back there on that orange wire going to the timer. Thought the timer might need to be replaced, but turns out it's working okay, which is good, because again, the replacement one that I got wasn't quite the right one. So and I just decided to go ahead and save that belt since the other one's still going. So yeah, it should be good to go for a long time. So hope you enjoyed my my dryer laundry room repair video. So it's a home improvement for you. So I got a ton of stuff around here to do, so I could probably just do these things all day long, literally. So all right, thanks again, and until the next time. Shane, Gemini Garage.